Hey everyone! Okay, so I'm ready to share with you my review of episode 4 of Marie Kondo's show on Netflix. Guys, as I shared with you yesterday, I knew that this one would be emotional for me because this is the one talking about grief. And in particular, this is a woman who lost her husband just 9 months prior to filming the episode. And she is ready to declutter her home and in a sense let go of many of her husband's things that don't really need to stay in the home anymore. So her name is Margie Hodges. They have lived in their home for 30 years, and as I shared, she lost her husband 9 months prior to the filming. She's got 3 kids, and I was really impressed and saw a little bit of myself in her, of this like, I'm doing great, everything's wonderful, like, you know, I'm strong and tough, I can go through this. And if you get to watch this episode, I want you to watch her journey. You can see it in her eyes, you can see it in her face, but she starts off in this like bright pink sweater meeting Marie, and you slowly start to see her really struggle. You start to see her really have to face some things, and we'll get into where that happened. And then all of a sudden the shift happens. And then all of a sudden she becomes the Margie who's going to be the one who's going to take herself into the future, who's going to be the one who's going to walk herself forward. So first of all, she talked about her home being a place of calmness and coziness. And initially I thought, okay, well, if you feel really calm and cozy in your home, I'm interested in what it is you want to be decluttering. Then she said, every drawer and every cabinet is full of things. And to be honest, that struck a chord with me. When I knew my mother was a clutteraholic, like we all knew it because my grandmother is, and my great grandmother, and my other, you know, like it's generational. And I am the one who wants to stop it. And my mom wanted to stop it. She was trying to work on that, but there were many levels to it that she didn't realize she needed to face in order to do that. And so I am choosing to stop the clutteraholic genetic trait so that my girls don't continue this. But I'm going to be a work in progress, just like all of us. And Margie is this work in progress. And so watching her go through this, I was like, yes. So my mother stored everything in drawers and cabinets and closets so that the home looked like presentable for you to come into. But we went through years worth of receipts and mail that hadn't been opened and all this stuff that she just didn't want to have to make decisions about because it was decision fatigue. And Margie talks about that she has this point where she just feels so overwhelmed by the decision fatigue of decluttering. So in the beginning, she talks about the house, and she says, it's a lot of life in this house, and I don't want to just dump it. She's able to take ownership that she believes that memories are still in people's things, and of course we see something and it creates that memory in our minds, but that we believe we need to keep that thing in order for the memory to stay alive, in order, in a sense, for that person to stay alive, starts to create this warped dynamic of what clutter is. Then clutter becomes important. Then clutter has this memory and the essence of a person in it, so we can't get rid of it, and we become even more attached. And so she starts to realize, I think she starts to see like there's unhealthy thinking here and I need to shift this. So Marie says to her, you know, like, okay, we're gonna declutter, we're gonna start your future. And you could see her kind of like, she goes, but I still want to keep lots of memories. Like I you know, like I don't get rid of him, basically, is what was being said. Don't get rid of him. And Marie does amazing, like, we're going to keep, you know, we're going to keep those memories. We're going to do that. I understand and I respect your process. So she was really good about meeting Margie where she was. But you felt that defensiveness like strike up real fast. Like, don't take, my husband's already gone. Don't take away more of him. But she desired to have him, many of his things gone as well, because I think subconsciously she knew it was time. It was part of the letting go process. So the items, I found this interesting. So when you're grieving and you have loss, the items, if you decide to use the KonMari method, any items from that person who's left us, who's lost, it becomes sentimental items. To actually leave that to the end of decluttering, which I thought was actually really smart, because many times I would have thought, get all the clothes done and I'll just do that person's clothes too. But it makes sense because you're not really ready to go through that. But if you've watched the episode, they had to change things for her because she decluttered her clothes. And she felt this frustration that she wasn't allowed to do her husband's clothes next. So they're about to do the books, and she's like, Marie, I can't move forward on the books if there's this project undone in my closet. Every morning I'm getting up and I see his clothes, and I'm ready to not have that, reminder first thing. And I understand that. I understand that we don't want to start our day in grief. I'm always in grief. I think many of you know I've written about this. I'm always in a state of grief, but a state of grief does not own me. It's part of what's going on inside of me. And so I don't want to start my day with like, bam, grief, versus it just be inside of me and a part of me that I honor, and for me it's in my heart area. That I honor and I respect, and when I'm ready to sit with it, that I let it out and I face it, and I kind of Marie Kondo, like, put it in a box, compartmentalize it, bring it back in, and when I'm ready to let it back out again, I do. So I understand what she was saying about, like, I see his clothes every morning in that closet when I go get dressed, and it's just a reminder he's gone. So I also was inspired, and I felt this as well after my mom's loss, that a fresh loss, and I think within the first year of a loss, puts things in perspective. If you think about episode 2, with the woman where I shared all the Christmas items she was keeping, it seemed like it was around her missing her mom and how her mom created a beautiful Christmas for the family. She had a harder time letting go of those things, whereas Margie was ready. She was fresh in the loss. She had perspective that if I don't let go of these things now, I may never. Like, I need to. So you see her battle this, I want to respect the KonMari method of sentimental items are last, but I really want to get rid of his clothes that I don't want to see every day. And so Marie goes, okay, go. So she goes and she starts doing it, and it's way more than she realized. And what I struggled with, we'll get to that in a second, but I feel like in a moment I'm just like, this is, I just got excited by this episode and so moved, and so in my own grief of it, that there were some parts that I wrote down. I think they're more for me than you all, but I'm going to share them because sometimes I find that maybe there's someone else who needs to hear it too. So let's go back to, so she's finishing up cleaning out her husband's closet, and she's almost done, and you'll see there's piles on the floor, and she, you see her go like, this is just really overwhelming. Like, I think she says something like that, and she stands up, and if you watch her, and I want you to watch, like, think of it from a psychology point of view, watch her. Her mind is going, escape, escape, get out, get out, get out, run, like, avoid, fight or flight mechanism. And you see her, and she kind of walks one way, and then she sort of walks the other way, and then she grabs her coffee mug. And I think in that moment it's because she realized there's a camera on her, because it was like, oh God, I'm walking away. No, I shouldn't. I'm not supposed to. And she grabs her coffee mug, and she turns and she looks at everything, and then she walks out. And I think it's good that she took that pause, and I think it's good that she didn't fully give into the fight or flight mechanism. But truly, when we are in grief, and decluttering that person's things, you have to take pauses, but you have to make sure it's not running away, that it's, I am purposely stepping away because I need a break. This is a lot. So in the process of decluttering her husband's things, she starts to really learn that she has to create a new identity, because it was always as the wife of this wonderful man who, as she described, was literally bigger than life and figuratively bigger than life. And so she's sort of lost in this, like, well, who am I now? And she finds herself through this process. So let's see, what are my next things I think are important for you guys to notice? She must focus on herself first, and this is really the first time she's doing this. She's an empty nester, so all 3 kids are out of the house. Her husband is gone. It's just her. And I love that she got to tell stories about her husband through the items. So I think when we have lost someone, we still want to keep items from them and have them areas where we can treasure them, not all in one area like a shrine, but in different areas so that we can tell those stories to people when they come to our home. We can tell those stories to if we have children, like, oh, this was this person's favorite, whatever it might be. I think that's important. Here's the part that was for me, and I think it's for you all as well. She says, I'm tough. And then she starts to become emotional. She goes, I'm not going to be tough right now. We can be tough and cry. I own learning and grief, the word and. I can be angry and at peace. I can be sad and joyful. I can be tough and cry. So this battle that she has, that being tough, and I've got it together, and I can handle this, and I'm capable. Our society creates this wall that says it can't look like a person with emotions, but why not? Why can't we be tough and capable and strong and cry because we've lost someone and grieve? And so for me and for you, you have permission to not be tough by society standards, but to be tough and cry and grieve and be angry and feel depression and feel anxiety. You are allowed to be both. One does not look like the other, or they are opposites. And there's an and, no buts. There's nothing knocking the other one out. So yeah, I appreciated watching her through that journey, though she never got to that area with her own like words and language. I don't know if mentally she realized that, but to me that's a big reason why the breaking yourself free from the cluttered life is so important in this course, because I want you to see these things so that it's not just kind of subconsciously happening and not as impactful in creating the lasting change. I want you to see when it's I can be this, and then all of a sudden you don't need that clutter. You don't need to hold on to the emotional because you are able to coexist with those emotions and those things. Okay, so let me see. I found it very interesting, and you may have found this in life, when you are finally ready to move forward in whatever issue it is, and somebody says, or something says, no, not yet, no, it's not time. It's so frustrating because you're ready to move forward. And so like the Margie wanting to clean her husband's clothes, and Marie's like, actually, we saved that for sentimental at the end. And she's like, I have been telling myself no to getting rid of these man's clothes for 9 months now, and now I'm ready, and you're telling me no. Like, she stood up for herself, which was really good. And Marie said, you know what, we'll make I'll change it for you today, make an exception. But I think that's so powerful when we get so ready and then something on the outside stops us versus us stopping ourselves. Push through that wall. Push through that wall and don't allow it to stop you, because then it'll go back into internal stopping you. Okay. Something to remember is, she says the decision making is very mental, and I think this is why Marie tries to get it into more of a physical, like, this brings me joy, I feel yay, and light, so that it's not this, do I want this or not? How can I use this? Do I need it? When might I use it again? You get into this mental battle and you exhaust yourself, and there's decision fatigue after the third item. So I do like Marie's method of put it into your body knows if it actually enjoys something or not, if it needs something or not. And I liked, she tells Margie that we need to focus on what you want to keep, not what you're getting rid of. Many times with decluttering, it's throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, and not what am I keeping? I don't need the other things. And you can put those to the side, focusing on what you want to bring into the future. That mentality, I think it's so important in our relationships. I think it's so important in the things that we own. I think it's so important in how we treat ourselves, the things we say to ourselves, how we want to bring, what we want to bring in the future, how we want to bring ourselves into the future. If you notice, Margie goes into a lot of, like, at the very beginning of the episode, us, and ours, and we, and at the very end, she starts to say me, mine, my life. And I thought that was a beautiful separation. Her husband will always still be with her. He will always be there in memory and in spirit, and in her kids. And there will be things that bring up sad memories and happy memories and all sorts of different emotions. But it is okay to say, now this is my life, and I am going to make of it what I can, and beyond just what I can, but what is possible. So cleaning and sorting, this is something we all need to be aware of. Though it's exhausting, though it seems overwhelming, it does create an energy in us. And this is not just physical clutter. This is also mental and emotional clutter. When we really do the work, it creates an energy in us that is actual motivation. If you wait for motivation to happen, many of you have heard me say this, if you wait for motivation to happen, you're going to be waiting for a while, because it's a feeling. And just like being hangry, all I need to eat something and the anger's gone, like, you need to take a physical step to create the emotion of, or the feeling of motivation, okay? So by cleaning and sorting through whatever area of your life needs to be decluttered, you're going to create an energy flow that makes you move forward. Lastly, something that really brought a lot of emotion up for me was the thought of creating a treasure box for the items that you want to keep of the person who's passed, or just of people in your life. I have been wondering what to do with so many of my mother's items that I don't really want to put out on display, but I'm not ready to let go of yet, because I do want to share them with my daughters when they're older, and to be able to tell those stories. But 2- and 4-year-old is not as interested in, certain things. So I'm going to find a treasure box, in a sense, for my mom's things and put them in there. So I loved that idea, and I had forgotten that, we just think items need to have a home somewhere out in your home, but sometimes some items just need to have a special box, a special place, a treasured place. That you come to now and then to remember that person. And so I'm going to be doing that. At the very end, Margie does say, I'm stronger than I ever thought. And that is a point where she does sort of realize that this whole, I'm strong, I can handle this, at the very beginning, wasn't really authentic. It was the messages that she's probably heard or saw through generationally. This is how you should handle things. You're tough. You can do this, versus be tough and grieve. And I think her saying, I'm stronger than I ever thought, was the most authentic sentence I got out of that. And all of them were authentic, but the most authentic of, like, here's really her coming out and not anyone else's influence. Like, here's really, like, I'm stronger than I ever thought, because I can be strong, I can be capable, I can do all this on my own, and grieve the loss of the man that I loved. I think that's very powerful. So this is a long review. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sure most of you like fast forward through it, but I'm telling you, there are some good chunks of meat for us to chew on as women, to face the clutter we have in our lives, and to say, how can we handle them differently? And why not learn from other people's mistakes? Some of us have to do our own. I know it. I understand. But many mistakes we don't have to experience if we really sit down and, in a sense, experience someone else's. And this is why I think shows like this are really great, because you really get to go, hey, wow, I want to be better than that, and this is how I can do that. Thank you, Amy, for your feedback, and I'm glad that you are enjoying these reviews. They're so helpful for me in seeing life differently and understanding this impact of clutter on my life. And as I'm a work in progress and improving these things, and as I'm seeing like all these dots connected, that's why this course is happening and is being put together so quickly, because it all makes sense. My training, my experiences, especially recently, and then this education that with feng shui and the Marie Kondo or KonMari method. All of it's coming together in my head, and I just realized that it's got to be a course. You just can't hold that in. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have the pre-registration webpage done for you. So y'all enjoy your night. I'm going to bed. I think for some of you it's afternoon, but let me know what you thought of the fourth episode and what came up for you and all of it. So enjoy, and maybe you see me tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure when I'll watch the next one. We'll have to see. I'm really making sure that I'm not like overdoing it with these videos. Sorry guys, it's like every day 1 to 2 videos. I just really enjoy it. Okay, bye guys.